Next Battleground is ready here as MVP Black is one Battleground away from securing a championship, and it's going to be Fnatic taking us to Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Both teams very adept at this map. We've seen MVP Black first pick this map in several of their series. Fnatic no slouch on this. Very contrasting styles on this. We see a lot of chromie play from Fnatic. We see all over the place with MVP Black in terms of what they want to run, everything from Tracer. Both teams have very similar drafts, I think, on this map at the core. But it's going to be fireworks on this map.
MVP one game away from claiming that trophy and the $500,000 that lay before them. Unless Fnatic can stop it. We're going into game number 4 here. Tomb of the Spider Queen, where Fnatic, in essence, built their legacy in Heroes of the Storm. Let's get it gone.
Very excited to see how this pans out. They are as close as they've ever been to a BlizzCon title. 3 years of this team, MVP Black. They've won so many tournaments, but not this one, not the most prestigious. And as we head into this, the big question is obviously going to be, will we see chromie come into play? As that was one of the big factors in the series with Ballistics that Fnatic brought out here. So let's see if that wild card pick is going to come into play.
Now, one thing to remember is, you know, MVP Black fans will be rejoicing here, looking back at the last 3 games, recognizing that the only victory thus far for Fnatic was against the Specialist Triple Warrior single support comp. It looks like an experimental composition at this level by MVP Black, and they won the 2 other games. Right now, Black the big favorite to win this grand finals, and Fnatic is probably feeling the heavy pressure alongside with their fans here in the crowd and at home.
The Greymane is a heavy priority for Quacknix a lot of times. He does really well. It's probably his best hero, right up there with kind of his fall stat, but more meta right now is the Greymane. It almost feels like they're kind of daring them to go into the Vala style. And we saw Quacknix on that last game. It's still one of his better heroes, but it definitely takes away a form of control in terms of aggression, that kind of mixed style play that we'll see with a chromie pick. Oh, man.
All right, so what does this mean? Stitches, hook, gorge, portal, hook, reel, and sinker. The abduction combination, the kidnap combo. Stitches, gorge, through the portal, massive displacement.
And this was a map where you have the forts up for a lot longer than other maps, so you have the fort up long enough to where, and oftentimes walls too, where you can actually get so much of that, whereas on other maps, if those fall down, you don't have really those zones to actually portal behind there. With the gorge, this is a very risky composition, it's a very all-in, but we very rarely see this in Korea, so I think this is a go-to by Fnatic basically saying, okay, we have this style really well fleshed out, and you won't necessarily know how to deal with it.
I will take the 3 Rice Krispie Squares if the next ban from MVP Black is Kel'Thas.
Really? Yeah, I mean, we've seen Dignitas and Fnatic run that, right? As a follow-up damage with the Gravity Lapse, as one of the few ranged assassins who actually possesses a stun in their base kit. The others being, I guess, if you count Tyrande, Raynor, maybe 1 or 2 others, Vala, Rain of Vengeance, but Kel'Thas in his base kit, in his base ability. So that could be, that could very well be.
I mean, obviously Malfurion has kind of been a staple with the Stitches as well, and with no supports locked in yet on the side of Fnatic and MVP Black having both of theirs locked, the Malfurion could be a go-to ban. Fnatic wants to try to run that as their follow-up stun here, or root in this case, I should say. Let's see if Black wants to go to that.
I like the Muradin ban a lot because we've seen Muradin obviously rise in this tournament. Although with MVP Black not picking that, opting for the Rhaegar Tassadar, that shows me that they've got something up their sleeve as well. That's one of the combos that we see in here. But I now wonder if we might see a potential Stukov here. If we do see Gorge, one of the ways to make sure the biggest counter towards a hook Gorge onto a Stitches is simply to hard engage onto a Stitches or use a force wall. But if you have that flailing swipe option to create space, give yourself an opportunity to get those picks, that could be in play here.
I mean, sometimes also the silence can obviously stop a Tassadar from dimensional shifting, for example, out of these types of combos. So with supports kind of choked out here a little bit for Fnatic, I absolutely think this could be a support to go to here, but I think it also depends on what DPS Fnatic wants to run.
It could also be Brightwing and or Falstad.
Exactly, yeah. We did see them run that card. It's not exactly the most amazing comp, for this map.
Yes, exactly.
But it's still got a lot of power. We saw it being able to secure kills on heroes that you don't normally see being secured after that combo.
I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if we also just get the fall stat again. Instead, we get a Quacknix Genji, because I'm pretty sure that will be, obviously, or excuse me, Quacknix Genji, Schweppy going to be on the Medivh.
Yeah.
Right, so we only don't have the support yet. MVP Black already has 2, so this is the safest one to save till later.
Yeah, I mean, Brightwing is very strong here still, and I think that Uther is also a great pick. Uther has the follow-up stun for Stitches. You have the ability to empower those Dragon Blades. So you kind of have choices here now for Fnatic in terms of what you can follow up with the Stitches. Poly, very strong here. So I think those are 2 great options. And whoa, picking the Chromie into Fnatic is MVP Black.
But here's the thing. I'm honestly terrified for Fnatic's draft here. And the way that they made their name on this map was with a lot of wave clear and some really epic long games against Dignitas. They have terrible wave clear with this composition. Genji's is bad, Medivh's is bad. You're not really getting the clear. And when you have Web Weavers pushing against you, and you look at the wave clear of Greymane, Rhaegar, Tassadar, Johanna alone, that is ultimate battleground control, Tassadar dimensional shift, Johanna with the Iron Skin, a lot of control, a lot of difficult ways to get on this. Oh, by the way, Chromie, you're not going to hit her with the hook because she has some pretty long range abilities. So I'm actually terrified for Fnatic, and it feels very one-dimensional in a sense that you don't have that follow-up option of wave clear, things like that. I'm actually really scared with Fnatic's draft right now.
Yeah, and you know, I think they went into that dimension with the first 2 picks, and a large part of this game will be how well does Fnatic perform pre-level 10.
So that'd be the Ana.
Solo support Ana.
I suppose, I think this is the first time we're seeing solo support Ana technically in terms of healing, right? Medivh is a pseudo support in that he supports teammates and things like that, but it feels to me that it's almost wholly unnecessary that Fnatic would take this style of draft. They've beaten MVP Black in straight-up games before. I don't feel like this was necessary. On the same note, though, I feel like this game could get out of control for Fnatic. We see some good early game hooks. We've got the crowd behind them, for example, and I think this could swing if we have that explosive start. But with MVP Black preparing for this, banning the Malfurion, for example, Ana Sleep, not really a reliable follow-up stun, I'm not very confident with this draft either for Fnatic.
Well, Sleep is half a second stun. You can draw it out if you don't damage the target, so that's cool. But also, you can Sleep Dart into hook. Now, MVP Black's positioning has been sublime. So I don't think it's going to be that easy, particularly if someone gets slept.
Yes.
How can
I think it's sleep.
Yeah, then someone else can go stand in front to block the follow-up hook. So I think MVP Black has the tools to deal with this, but we got to sell what Fnatic is doing here as well.
And Fnatic, they're going to have to be aggressive, not only from the start of the game, but throughout the entire game. That's the only way this works, is by getting the picks. I just think they're going to have a difficult time, especially with the composition that we see drafted from MVP Black.
Time to go into it. Game number 4 as Fnatic tries to battle back and keep the hopes alive here in this grand final. MVP Black is 1 game away from becoming our world champions.
2 explosive compositions for what could be the final game of the grand finals. Dread, what do you think of the comps?
I feel like we have the Medivh on the other side of the table, and that is going to be something, again, like we saw in the last game, that the members of Fnatic are going to very much have to rely on here. But I do side a little bit with the analyst desk, maybe not as to the same degree as them, but MVP Black's draft here is a bit scary, and the members of Fnatic are really going to have to find a way to overcome that here.
Well, time to rally for Fnatic if they want to go to the 5th and final game. We're headed into game number 4. Tomb of the Spider Queen with MVP Black up 2-1.
They need all of your cheers here in North America, because they're 1 game away from getting knocked out. It is Fnatic in the blue, where we have Breeze on Stitches. Genji, played by Quacknix. Dahaka will be played by Wubby. Medivh will be played by Schwimpy. And as always on support, Smex on Ana. Let's hear it for Fnatic!
Their opponents in the red, 1 game away from the championship. They've always dreamed of Sake playing Tassadar, Reset on Chromie, Tist on Johanna. We've got Kyocha playing Rhaegar, and finally Rich on his Greymane. Give it up for MVP Black! A house divided in here.
Torn. Laning situation for the members of MVP Black, mirroring that of the feel here of the crowd, going with a 2-1-2 to be able to deal with the scary rotations that the members of Fnatic provide here with the Stitches threat, the Medivh rotation threat, and more importantly, that Sleep Dart kill opportunity available here. I do appreciate the laning situation, though. It's going to really pull away from the dominant laning phase you would assume Fnatic may be aiming for here on a map like Toon.
Now, of course, Fnatic are hoping to win this game hook, gorge, and sinker, but the Stitches still also provides a lot of wave clear, especially with the slam build. I'm sorry, I had to do it, okay?
It got to the point. It was good. It was good. I honestly, to the point where I didn't even think of anything you said beyond that point. I was just like, that was a nice meme. I appreciate that one. Thank you very much, Gilly.
You're welcome. But yeah, he does have awesome wave clear with the slam build that he has.
Yeah, it will help make up for maybe the lack there with the Johanna, the Tassadar. Wait a minute here. Breeze out a bit too far. Condemn's going to pull them back in. MVP is going to find themselves here first blood in game number 4.
MVP Black feeling very good about that. Anything that they can do to start the momentum train early for this game. All they want to do is keep staying in the heads of Fnatic as best they can, continuing their rotations up. Reset also will be trying to stack up the Sandblast.
She's such a good hero to use in defensive strategy. She really kind of, Kuromi came into the meta whenever the 1-3 laning situation, heavy tri-lane, the Holy Trinity meta was very much a thing. And she's so very good at defending and more importantly, stalling out on top of those turn-in points here. Fnatic is a team that is very clever, especially with that Medivh to kind of cycle between the two turn-in points. But when you have such an amazing range like Reset there onto the Chromie, I assume that this is going to be a far more difficult turn-in phase than you would normally have if, again, you have the Medivh on your roster.
Well, it was Fnatic, right, who started using the Chromie a lot on this very battleground against an Ariel, punishing the lack of cleanse that she had with Temporal Loop. And I have continued to be surprised by the respect of strategies that Fnatic have brought in and the strategies that have been Fnatic's cup of tea for a long time. Things like Chromie now being played by Reset, even the globals that we saw from Game 2 for MVP Black, a strategy that Fnatic are just known so well for.
And I feel like that's kind of why so many casters, so many talents, so many people behind the scenes in competitive heroes were kind of, you know, taking a minute to show concern towards this boot camp that most European teams did have within the Korean region. Is, aren't you going to be teaching them how to play the game, to play your very play style? And I don't think that that is the reasoning we see that adjustment here from Korea and MVP Black, but it is why everybody was so concerned. You never want to teach your opponent. If you think you're better, you never want to give them the, you know, the top tier strats.
No, but when we talked to the European teams, they felt like that wasn't the case with the boot camps, that the MVP Black and the rest of the Korean teams, nice helping hand there, were the better meta at the time. They had the stronger meta, and that helped Fnatic and the rest of the European teams be able to adapt to that, or at least know what was coming their way. But here still, MVP Black is such a force to be reckoned with. They've only lost one game. That was the one game, though, to Fnatic. So Fnatic can do this. They can try to tie it up and take us to game 5.
And again, the creative laning situation that MVP Black has developed here with this 2-1-2, it is very difficult for Fnatic to really take a minute to figure out how to keep up with the transitions, either the pressure that they are applying between mid and top or the turn-in. They're just seconds behind the transitions of MVP Black. And this is on home turf. This is the map here that Fnatic made the climb. I say it every single time, but Europe is far better at Tomb of the Spider Queen than every other part of the world. And the Fnatic was the one who brought it really to that region that seems to have mastered it here.
Well, what's the place where they chose to make their last stand? With everything down to this one game, Fnatic chose Tomb of the Spider Queen as a way to tie up the series yet again, but it'll be MVP Black who gets the first Web Weaver phase, getting those 50 gems turned in.
Not bad siege for MVP Black here with their composition. They do want to kind of focus on maybe getting some of those kills because Chromie, she's not necessarily the best when it comes to sieging up. She is very good at scaring you off of it. She's very good at poking you off of it, but her raw damage in DPS is not necessarily there to be able to make it happen. All the heroes very good in that wave clear. So I would assume MVP Black, when we do see them collaborate here into the mid lane, if anything, is just going to be getting raw damage output or avoiding the fight and trying to make sure that they, or excuse me, avoiding the objective and trying to make sure that they get a couple of picks.
Rich, fairly low, was scared off momentarily from protecting this Web Weaver, but now that he has the double support behind him, he will at least go back into it with the aggression, but Fnatic do force them off again.
Another pre-cleanse there. use to be able to make sure he stays alive. Keep in mind that nobody on the side of Fnatic is actually dealing with the Johanna split pressure, that we are watching them commit a 4-man to deal with a very non-threatening composition three-man from the members of MVP Black. They make the transfer up here. Schwimpy's in a bad spot. No portal, and another kill here for MVP, but they're not done.
No, they are not. They've got the body blocks down, but Rich is stuck between a Breeze and a Quacknix. He's probably going to go down, but what damage can he put out? He does fall at the end. Sake trying to grab the gems and get out of dodge.
Get out of dodge there. Reset's able to throw out a couple of spells there to zone off. So very close there. The dimensional shift able to make it out. And now a window of opportunity for the members of Fnatic to focus on getting those gems turned in. But they're going to hold off here. And I want to bring it back to, Team Freedom versus MVP Black specifically, turn it in this exact same situation. And if we see the members of Fnatic commit to that, MVP will round their heroics. The rid of the Web Weaver phase very, very effective here. So expect a patient next couple of minutes for Fnatic until they can achieve those heroics.
Patient, but probably fairly aggravated, because losing Schwimpy when they did reset the Master's Touch tax, and that is never a place that Medivh wants to be in. It was fairly early on in that, but it is still a sore point to a team that is behind in this series. MVP Black get heroic abilities, and they're stacking up gems for the next turn-in.
Where do we see the members of Fnatic try and make this transition? Where are they going to try and make it? Is it going to be through bottom here, or do we want to make it up onto top? MVP is going to pressure out through mid. At this point in time, I'm honestly rather surprised that MVP hasn't been more aggressive with their 10s. We talk about how they never seem to waste a mercenary camp and such, but they didn't even need this mercenary camp. With how big of an advantage this was, the fact that top and mid is just now going down does seem, again, the respect is very much there for both sides of the battlefield.
Well, they are getting the siege in now. They'll take out the fort, and that's without the secondary turn-in, which means they can focus their efforts elsewhere. Once they do get those gems in, Hook is out, no one caught. But heroics are here for Fnatic. It is the Gorge for Stitches.
We're yet to see if Schwimpy maybe wants to mix it up and go with something else here. Polybomb has been a choice here, only selected by North America. I don't feel like there's enough of an argument. Maybe as like a follow-up to try and get the CC before Johanna can hit the Iron Skin and walk away. I'm pretty confident here he'll be going in for that. We do have those heroics to the Web Weaver phase here. Who's going to get the turn-in? Webby single-handedly can achieve this turn-in phase if he is left alone.
Tassadar is at the turn-in point at the top. Webby starts, but it's too late. MVP Black with the secondary Web Weaver phase about to begin, and they've already taken down 2 forts. Only 1 left for Fnatic.
They are escalating the pace of this game very, very fast with that structural damage between Web Weaver phase 1 and 2. Again, we assume that this bottom fort to go down, and with the transition available now, because that mid fort is dead, MVP can really make Fnatic always respond to them from this point on. Fnatic needs to try and force past that. There they go. They're going to use the Gorge. Blessed Shield though, the Condemn. The body blocks for Rich, but he gets through.
He still got through the portal just at the end of the Gorge. Kyoto will fall. Fnatic get the kill with the Kidnapper style of strategy, but there are still Web Weavers pushing.
The Web Weavers are there. The members, though, of Fnatic can maybe transfer out. We see Dahaka already worrying about top. That bottom fort is inevitably going to drop for Fnatic, kill or not. But that was a big win for the members of Fnatic. Instead of just losing a fort, we likely would have seen a minimum of, half a key front wall up onto mid, and likely a majority of it there on bottom.
It is so well done, though, from MVP Black. They very nearly kept Stitches from being able to get to the portal, and we saw why some of the picks that came out after the Stitches pick were chosen by MVP Black. Things like slowing Sands, trying to slow him down from getting to the portal. Of course, Johanna, who can Blessed Shield and pull him back in. Everything that they can do to keep Stitches from getting to that portal behind the gate. So what was the damage done? The final fort fell. MVP Black pushing out all waves, and with their 13 advantage in full view of Medivh, they head to the boss.
They're going to pick up the boss. 117 gems in the bank of Fnatic. Wubby will be able to turn that in 2 more seconds down on bottom. The hook lands on to Chromie. Cleanse was forced there, but ineffective. Wubby will get this Web Weaver phase. The members of MVP trying to capitalize on the lack of man advantage for Fnatic, but they're not going to get it.
Rich dives out, Leyline Seal, and everyone else trying to keep Rich alive, but using his ability to get out, he's just fine. MVP Black are like, fine, if you want to take this fight, we have the 13 advantage, and you have everything to lose in the gems.
But if MVP Black loses this fight, they're going to lose a lot more than just a couple of members. Hook over the wall, lands onto Tiz, dropping the Iron Skin. Wubby in a bad spot. He dodges there, but it ends up going down. MVP Black taking the fight and more importantly, decisively winning it there.
They get that one kill and turn their attention to the Web Weavers. They didn't get the boss, but they will ensure that Fnatic essentially wasted so many gems. But the important thing for Fnatic, though, is that they only lost one person, and they still have a lot of their gems left to be able to hopefully get a turn-in after this. But the big deal is that MVP Black took that fight so far forward and then cleared out so fast that the waves are still in a place where they can still control the turn-ins after this Web Weaver falls.
They may even be able to control more than that if they want to make their way up towards that top boss. As you see, MVP Black is still a ways away from that turn-in on their own. And as you brought to light there, the fact that there was only one member lost for Fnatic, it's so, different than every other map. Normally we see that one kind of kill into the mid game and you go, you're going to have a hard time. The death timer is going to be a problem. But legitimately, because you carry the objective on you on Tomb of the Spider Queen, that death is sometimes it's GG even at 13 minutes into the game. So very calculated here for Fnatic. Hook over the wall into Rich. He's going to be portaled through.
Slowing sands, but there's the portal still stepping forward. Drops him right on the other side of the gate. Good night, Rich.
The drag in isolation onto Rhaegar too. Leyline Seal's going to keep the members of MVP Black locked down. Kyocha drops. There they go through the portal, ringing it right back in. This is going to be 3 kills for Fnatic as they are down swinging.
And Wubby zoning everyone else away. No one gets to help Tis survive the onslaught of Fnatic. They get a 3rd kill and confidently step toward the boss.
This is going to be the boss for Fnatic. Not alone Chromie nor Tassadar have the ability to be able to stop this one. Fnatic then can back this with a major Web Weaver phase. I really appreciate the fact that they're willing to drop Wubby back here. It tells that they are looking far more into the future and what they're going to make happen here with the Web Weaver phase. But on the note of the future, there is still a major problem. Experience is heavily in favor of MVP Black, and this window of power spike for Fnatic is coming at the same time that MVP Black is hitting what most consider an unwinnable trade. It's 16 into 50.
Yeah, Fnatic will have to play cautiously around this point. They absolutely need to get the siege going with this Web Weaver phase and with the boss. But they have to respect that. Potential 16 of MVP Black. Web Weaver started this boss just now at the towers in front of Fort and taking a lot of damage from MVP Black, who feel totally fine just defending this in full force, since they knew with the Giants and with the camp that Webby was dealing with, the rest of Fnatic had to go all the way back to help escort these Web Weavers up.
And that's why wave clear is so important on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen. If you don't have it, all it takes is that mercenary to push against you, and you're like, guys, we need to turn in now. This is the time. And you go, where are my Web Weavers at? Oh, all the way stuck back in the base because we haven't been able to enable them here. But Fnatic is now ready to siege up into the mid lane with their very, very powerful late game Web Weavers. Batiste trying to force this pre-16. They have the 16 talents here. Members of Fnatic might have to force the ley line. Blessed Shield goes in.
There is a Gorge target inside the belly of Breeze. He'll come out and take damage from the Swift Strike.
He lives!
Barely gets away. Ancestor healing him back up.
And now the members of MVP are looking to turn it. Another portal is allowing Fnatic to get the full retreat. They will be able to pick up the 16s, but it does mean that a lot of another gem phase, another Web Weaver phase for Fnatic just leaves all structures up. We have not seen a single fort go down on the side of MVP Black.
Yeah, there's been so much give and take for what Fnatic, the composition they're playing is. They put down the portal just trying to get anything, a drag from Wubby, a hook from Breeze, but MVP Black are avoiding that and still control this battleground, even though Fnatic has had some momentum in this game, in Game 4 on Tomb.
Breeze is getting stuck in the slowing sands. It's going to force a very easy portal there. 7 more seconds towards the Gorge opportunity to even be a thing. Damage onto Smex there. Tis trying to get the Condemn in. Can he make it out? Rich goes for the throw, but he gets Gorge.
He is Gorge, and he is way deep in the base. Blessed Shield gets Rich back out in time. Breeze still taking a lot of damage. Johanna goes down, but so does Breeze. That's a 1-for-1.
Reset seems to be making it rain there from above and able to get that damage out, but Fnatic is not letting up. It's so amazing to watch these teams. When the first person dies, they just wait until you go a little bit too aggressive and immediately fight back, be able to get the turn here. Fnatic has done an amazing job of holding on to their gems. They are still in a fine position to be able to try and somehow turn this game around. I say that after what feels like 2 wasted Web Weaver phases. But MVP is still winning into the experience avenue. More importantly, they're winning in the structure avenue. Every Web Weaver phase is more valuable for them than Fnatic's. And they now are grounding what is going to be a potential next Web Weaver phase. Fnatic has not been able to force really any fight whatsoever outside of this Gorge hook combo, and every single time outside of the very first one, it seems like Fnatic, or excuse me, MVP Black is just getting better and better at dealing with this strategy.
Even if they don't deal with it, it's just one that's lost. And because there was such a lead for MVP Black, they're able to just maintain the lead that they have had. But hopefully for Fnatic, now that they have Leyline Seal and they can be out on the battleground a bit more, maybe start to get some of those gems dropped off so they're not as afraid to get into the engagements. They can do some things more like with a Leyline Seal. I wanted to point out that Fnatic, we see now why Ana was chosen with this strategy, as we've seen Nano Boost be used on Stitches so that he has the cooldown of hook up faster so that they can rely on Breeze to make the plays for the team.
We see a play here. That's Tist. That's a tough target to get a kill here. Iron Skin's going to be dropped. Condemned to pull them in.
MVP are coming in.
They're going to get the full collapse. Fnatic now has to retreat. Chromie throwing out the damage. Good juke there. There's another hook. But it's on to Tassadar. Always got that dimensional shift when necessary.
But in the top, Wubby turned in his gem. So that is a sigh of relief for Fnatic. There were a lot of gems sitting on our Dahaka.
But there are only a few more gems necessary for MVP Black to have enough for their very own turn-in. They're going to be able to round that in. Tis turns in 6 more, now 7 away. Fnatic moving down below, trying to force this. They end up getting the turn-in on top. Very big win there for Fnatic to be able to get that.
With the forts that are still up for MVP Black, this could be a big swing in experience for Fnatic. They're able to take those down. But with Gorge coming offline in just a few seconds, we know what Fnatic, the play they'll be trying to make.
I don't know if it's one that they're going to be trying at this point. I feel like they have to. This is another Webweaver phase going down. This is the only really, it's the best opportunity is when your opponent is going to be stuck around these structures. And we've seen it over and over again. It's just finding a way to make it to where MVP Black can't get the response that they've been able to over the last few times. Even so much so that MVP Black, they're just not even going to risk it as an option. Maybe try and force their own hand here by taking this fight.
Yeah, Tis loves being able to keep control of Breeze because as long as he's doing that, his team is safe from Breeze and the way that Fnatic wants to engage. One Webweaver down. Top getting closer and closer to the keep structures of MVP Black. But Fnatic has taken an experience lead for, I believe, the first time in this game.
Fnatic also has enough gems to get another turn-in phase. They've done, again, so well at collecting themselves and making sure that they do not lose enough gems if MVP Black is successful with these skirmishes. Bottom Webweaver is still alive, but I wouldn't put too much concern into it, as we do know the boss will be up very, very soon after these Webweavers go down, and that might be the beginning of the end for these teams, whoever manages to pick that up for himself.
There he is in all his glory. Fnatic just about to 20. Do we get Hungry Hungry Stitches?
I can't tell if that would be a better or worse approach to it, because then you essentially are going for more than one kill by isolating together. Maybe you can go with like a ley line and then you just spit all the rest of the members out and you throw it out immediately after. We'll find out here for Fnatic as they're trying to get this turn in. Another Webweaver phase is about to descend.
Crowd roaring, getting louder and louder every time Fnatic is able to stay in this game. And now, for the first time, they have a lead. They get to 21st.
But at this point of the game, if they make one mistake into this team fight, if MVP Black is successful, they can still turn it around and end the game because they've opened up that early game sieging pressure they were able to put out. Fnatic cannot falter if they're going to push us here to game number 5.
Schwimpy giving vision to Stitches so they can try and get the hook Gorge play that would start a catalyst to end the game and take us to game 5 of the grand finals.
MVP have 20 themselves. Drag is used onto Sake. It's only going to draw Dimensional Shift. Infinite Archon is here. Great defensive 20 power spike for MVP Black. Things get sketchy for a moment.
Indestructible is going to be a huge tool for Tis now, as he has been taking a lot of damage from Fnatic to be up in the front, trying to be the target to be gorged and taken for the team, while the rest can follow up behind and bail him out.
Fnatic seems like they're making a beeline here up towards this boss. They now do not have enough gems for that immediate turn-in after the last 3. Not the case here for MVP Black. Not going to go ahead and start it. This camp will be revealed by Fnatic. Schwimpy hovering up above. Not as many sprays as we've seen from Schwimpy in the past, but I understandably so. You maybe don't want to be flexing too hard in front of MVP.
Dread, this is serious business right now. You don't have time for sprays. You want to be giving vision to Stitches.
Rich
is inside. Leyline Seal. well.
And Blessed goes down to try and get the peel, but I don't think Tassadar has enough shielding to keep him up. Archon's going to be popped.
Or
Does he
does
get
he?
the disengage? No! Fnatic, they get him!
Drag takes him down. Wubby making the plays at the end of the day. Now we've got Quacktix with the Dragon Blade, but Sake staying strong with that Twilight Archon. Breeze disengaging with the rest of Fnatic, so only the one kill for Fnatic.
The members of MVP Black are going to use their gems to get this turn in and stall out the death timer of Rich. 41 seconds till he's going to be back, and that will be very achievable here with this Web Weaver phase. It's just what happens after that is really the biggest problem here. Once the Web Weaver's clear, there's a boss up, both teams will be just barely kissing a turn-in opportunity. Nice juke there.
Everything goes down. Portal, no. We've got slowing sands, we've got time trap. Don't follow me. Don't mess with the Chromie.
So as this stalls out here, the members of Fnatic just clearing them as quick as they possibly can. It's such a great defensive strategy from the side of MVP Black. It does feel a bit painful as they put so much time and effort into the Web Weaver phase. They're even going to poke out here, not let this be a free clear, even though Rich has just spawned back in the base. Fnatic knows that this is not an even trade by any means.
Time trap, but the Force of Will trying to save Schwimpy from a lot of the reset damage. Schwimpy very understanding of just how much damage a Chromie can shell out, being a Chromie player himself.
Gilly,
Well,
they're
Weaver's
almost
a gun.
tied. They're almost tied in gems at this point. It's just who, do you defend the boss? Do you defend the turn-in? This is going to be very, very close. The decision-making, specifically with Tassadar, his ability to reveal and defend is huge because he's one of the best here in this game. Wait a minute, though. Breeze out a bit too
Look at
far for
Tist.
the hook.
Look at Tist. He's got the flank now going after Breeze. After that, too, not
Blessed.
allowing this play to start happening. Rich is dragged away, goes in with the cleanse.
Condemn interrupts the
It's
brush
not
stun. There he goes. He's got the passive. He's got the heal. He buys a bit of time. Force of Will, the portal. Kyoto's trying to chase down Schwimpy.
Ley line is out.
The
Schwimpy,
minions!
The minions! The Bruisers take him out.
For
The reset
reset.
goes down, too. It's a 1-for-1.
It's a 1-for-1, but enough gems available for the members of Fnatic if they want to try and force this. Reset, or excuse me, MVP Black doesn't care though. They're going to try and get this invade. Quacktix goes in trying to scare them off, but unable to do so. They're going to pick up the night camp. And where does Fnatic try and force this? They're getting pressure again. Tist gets a nice condemn. Archon's going to be used. Infinite Archon, keep in mind. Breeze is in a bad spot. The body blocks.
Look at these body blocks. Tist on top of Breeze has to use Hardened Shield. They don't care. MVP Black doesn't care. They take out Stitches. 63 seconds without the frontliner, the primary frontliner of Fnatic.
And Sake's going to be able to keep that Archon alive, but beyond this keep, they are going to go here towards the core.
They are going for the core. They take out Smexy. This might just be an MVP Black getting on the core. They have wanted this for so long as they continue to bring it down 50% and falling. BlizzCon, your world champions, MVP Black!
In 2015, this team was denied. 2016, they feel like they were denied. But this year, Gilly, it is anything but the case.
MVP Black has always felt like the rightful kings of BlizzCon. And now their dynasty is to be the first ever HGC Finals champions.
Where do you even begin with this squad? The most dominant team in the world for the longest time, been showing many struggles throughout summer. They get Rich back, they recollect themselves as a group, and then they point their aim towards BlizzCon, and they execute when necessary.
MVP Black, BlizzCon champions, HGC Finals champions.
BlizzCon, give it up for MVP Black! Your 2017 Heroes of the Storm Global Champion! And now, please help me welcome to the stage Heroes of the Storm Game Director Alan DeBeery and Heroes of the Storm Esports Lead Sam Braithwaite.
Those were some amazing games. That was absolutely incredible. I think that's why I love esports so much, that you really get to see players be playing the game at the absolute highest level. I think the dream is that if I keep watching enough of these games, one day I'll play like Rich, but I don't think that's been happening so far. But actually, first off, I want to congratulate Fnatic for the amazing run that they had through this tournament. And of course, I want to offer a special congratulations to our HGC champions, MVP Black. And finally, I think that this was a fantastic ending to our first HGC season, and I'm incredibly excited for next year with all the improvements that are coming in both HGC and the game. Thank you.
So, a year ago this week, I was on this stage to announce the Heroes Global Championship, and we promised guaranteed competition as well as regular prizing for all of our professional players. We were hoping that this added infrastructure would elevate the level of competition and really take Heroes of the Storm esports to a new level. I would like to take a moment real quick to just give a shout out and a thanks and a round of applause to all the teams and players at home that have spent the last year training, hoping to be here, hoping to be lifting this trophy on the stage. So let's give it up for everybody else. Now, MVP Black. This has been a long time coming, and it is my honor to say that you guys are going to go down in the history books of Heroes of the Storm esports. And it is my pleasure to congratulate you as the first and only HGC champions. Let's give it up one more time for MVP Black.
BlizzCon, this has been an amazing tournament. Thanks for being with us here in person and online. On behalf of the cast, the crew, these incredible teams, 2017 has been amazing, but 2018, you ain't seen nothing yet. Give it up for MVP Black!